I want to play an audio soundbite last night. I had to go on DirecTV. I haven't watched cable news in a while, and as you know, and when I do see it, and by this is not a criticism. Please don't anybody misunderstand. It's just, would you watch CNN for any other reason other than to watch a car crash or be entertained by the utter debacle of it? But do you watch things numerous times? You know what's going to happen. Do you watch it again and again? Sometimes classic movies, your favorite TV shows, yeah, but otherwise, no. After you get your fill of it, you know what's coming. You don't need to watch it. So I had to go on DirecTV and erase a bunch of my DVR shows to free up space on my DVR box hard drives. And when I turned it all on, it defaulted to Fox News. And you can watch live TV in the upper left-hand corner while you're deleting the recorded content from your playlist. And Chatsworth Osborne Jr.'s show was on. Tucker Carlson. And he had this. Tucker was, by the way, I loved Tucker last night. He was exasperated as I have been. He just exasperated over this whole Russia investigation and the media and what's happening. And he said something I had not heard. You know, Samantha Power, who was Obama's last ambassador to the United Nations, and she was very much involved in unmasking Americans along with Susan Rice toward the tail end of the Obama administration. Anyway, they had a big election in Italy this week, and it was almost a repeat of what happened in our elections in 2016, a coalition of quote-unquote conservatives and nationalists just swept everybody out of the way. And it was a major, major win for center-right people in Italy. And the added bonus was that it contains a great threat to the solvency of the European Union. And one of the primary issues that determined turnout and vote was Italians are fed up with immigration. They're fed up with their culture being diluted and wiped out. They're fed up with their government caring more about migrants and illegals and about the native population. Does it sound familiar? Anyway, Samantha Power blamed it on the Russians. The Russians stole the Italian elections, too. And this is where you just pull your hair out. Because now we've got an ongoing narrative and meme that anything that goes wrong for the Democrats, the Russians did it. And they take to the media and they seriously say this stuff. It is deranged. It's beyond my ability to describe how literally insane and deranged, unhinged, whatever this is. And I ask myself, I really do, do they really believe this, or is this just something that they know or they think they can convince people is true just by saying it over? And this, the jury is out. There's a big part of me that thinks these people have lost it so much that they really believe it. There's a big part of me that believes they have been so poisoned by the hate that they contain within themselves each and every day that they have been rendered completely irrational. And the other part of me says, they're not this stupid. They can't really believe the Russians stole our election, and now the elections in Italy, and they're preparing to steal the elections in China. Oh, wait, there aren't any. The elections, wherever they are, the Russians are... Folks, Russia, there's another thing wrong. Russia is being portrayed as this gigantically powerful, omnivorous presence that is just dominating and swallowing and swarming everything, that the Russians are running the world. And I'm here to tell you, the Russians still remain a third world country at best with a first world military and intelligence operation. The Russians are not an economic superpower. They're in no way. They do not singularly have the kind of power that's being assigned to them. Our CIA and NSA have a better chance of stealing an election in Italy than the Russians do. Even in our elections, when you look at the amount of money Russians spent on Facebook after the election, they were pikers. They didn't spend anywhere near as much as even labor unions do. And yet look at how they're being held up, hoisted up, and paraded in front of everybody. And what's really ironic about it is the Democrats and the left used to love them, used to want to be them. When they were the Soviets, the Democrats in this party looked up to them. The Democrats thought the Soviets had the answer. When the Soviets wanted to build a client state in Nicaragua, the Democrat Party helped them do it. But now, all of a sudden, they're best buddies. The Russians, the former Soviets, have become this great, gigantic monster of an enemy. It just isn't true. Well, anyway, Tucker brought on Brit Hume, the commentator, analyst emeritus, to analyze this seeming insanity, irrationality, and lunacy that has overtaken Washington, D.C. Now, you have heard what Hume is going to say here, because I've been saying it myself in my own way for years now. But I still wanted you to hear this. The question that Tucker asks Brit Hume, you have somebody who's under the influence of alcohol, this is Nunberg, jump around the set, humiliate himself, but not only that, degrade the person that's interviewing him. I wonder if there is a cost long-term. He's asking Brit Hume if these networks are actually, in the long term, wiping themselves out, harming themselves reputationally, business-wise, with incidents like Nunberg yesterday. And here is the answer.
There's been a belief for the longest time that the Trump election was illegitimate, and there's been a sense in the media that his election constitutes a kind of national emergency because he is such an unqualified character and so likely to lead us off a cliff that it is a job of the media to join the resistance and to find out what must be behind his election, what scandals must lurk there, to take him down. That's plainly what this is all about. The media have clearly joined the resistance. It borders on hysteria. It's just so over the top. I mean, you don't have to be a Trump admirer to realize that the things that are being said are just wildly out of proportion.
Now, Brit Hume has not thought this for very long. I think recent events have brought him to this reality. And this view that you just heard him espouse is not common inside the Beltway. There are a lot of conservative bloggers who, they're never Trumper. They don't think this. They think Trump's a problem. They think Trump's a deranged one. A lot of conservatives. So this is still not a majority opinion, but even with this opinion, I think there's something that's slightly different. I am not picking nits here, and I'm not being critical of Brit Hume, so don't anybody start firing off angry emails and tweets and stuff. It's just a tiny little difference of opinion. It's when he said there's been a sense in the media that Trump's election constitutes a kind of national emergency because he's such an unqualified character and so likely to lead us off a cliff that it is a job of the media to join the resistance and find out what must be behind his election. Yeah, part of that's true, that they can't believe how it happened. They thought they had the election wired. Hillary was going to win hands down. They've had to concoct this excuse to explain why she and they lost. But I don't think that the media gives a whit about the country falling off a cliff. I don't think they have the capacity to care about that. I don't think that's what the resistance to Trump is all about. I don't think the resistance to Trump has anything to do with these people worried about what it means for the country. I think it all has to do with them being worried about what it means for them. These people all think they're elites. You know, when you get inside the Beltway, you get inside the Washington establishment, it's kind of like going to Davos. Class distinctions don't exist inside the establishment. You're either in it and you're an elite or you're not. There's not elite level 1 and elite level 2 and elite level 3. You're just in or you're out. And it doesn't matter if you're in media or at a think tank or at the State Department or in the administration or on the staff of an elected congressman or senator, you are an elitist. You're there. You're in the club. You're in the establishment. And that's what they think is threatened here. They're worried that their little fiefdom is going to be blown sky high. They're worried that their little protective club where everybody's looked out for and protected and their futures are guaranteed, that's what they're worried about. Plus, they're worried about their own influence and effectiveness. How could this have happened? They own everything in their minds. They own public opinion. How could this guy survive everything they did to take him out? They taking it personally. They can't believe it. And they'll be damned if it's going to happen again, and damned if this guy's going to succeed. They can't afford for him to succeed at anything. It blows up the illusion that only they have the brains and the smarts to run things. Have to take a brief time out. Stick with us. We'll be right back.